may think that the Cowboys are going to roll with Blake Jarwin entirely, but we don't know that. If Blake Jarwin gets hurt again, or if Blake Jarwin disappoints, Dalton Schultz continues to do well and plays all the games or a chunk of the season that is satisfactory, you could make the argument, well, maybe we should cut Blake Jarwin and roll with Dalton Schultz. Now, the tight end position group for the Dallas Cowboys has been an intriguing position group to look at over the past couple of seasons. You had Civil War veteran Jason Witten retire, unretire, then go to the Las Vegas Raiders to finish out his career. And in that meantime, you had time to see Blake Jarwin and Dalton Schultz get the chance to see what they're made of. To start off, Blake Jarwin had some time under his belt to, show his flashiness and his explosiveness to create a vertical threat at the tight end position. Then, due to his injury, we really finally got a chance to see what Dalton Schultz is made of, and he showed that he possibly could be better than Blake Jarwin. And I'm going to go over all of that in just a moment. If you could do me a solid and leave a like on this video, it helps this video out in YouTube's algorithm, and it's greatly appreciated. On top of that, if you are new here, I do recommend subscribing and hitting the notification bell so you don't miss out on the latest Dallas Cowboys content and when I go over training camp, preseason, or other stuff. So, this tight end position group, right? I know I talked about it beforehand in my position evaluation series, but I wanted to talk over what's been going over in camp, and it's really a good problem that the Cowboys have, is that you have two guys in Blake Jarwin and Dalton Schultz. You got to figure out who you want to be your starter. Now, if you were to point a gun to my head and say, Space, who would you want to be the starter? And I would probably say Dalton Schultz. And the reasoning for that is because all around, I think he's a fantastic tight end. He's a better blocker than Blake Jarwin, okay? And sure, you can make the argument that Blake Jarwin has a much better way of getting downfield, the yards after catch, that type of stuff. I can see that. The one thing that kind of knocks that against him is that he hasn't had a full season of exposure as the guy, or rather enough time as that number one tight end to be like, hey, you know what? We see what we have in this guy, and I can say for a matter of fact, he's not or is the guy. Now, that doesn't mean that the position isn't upgradable. If you have the opportunity to get someone better than the two of them, by all means. But the weird thing about it is, and I know people are going to say this in the comment section, well, Space, didn't Blake Jarwin just sign a contract extension? He did. However, according to Sport Track, as I see it right here, the contract is set to have a potential out after this year. And what's important about that is because you may think that the Cowboys are going to roll with Blake Jarwin entirely, but we don't know that. If Blake Jarwin gets hurt again, or if Blake Jarwin disappoints, Dalton Schultz continues to do well and plays all the games or a chunk of the season that is satisfactory, you could make the argument, well, maybe we should cut Blake Jarwin and roll with Dalton Schultz going forward, or is there a way we can keep both of them? It really depends on what the Cowboys are looking to do. As I take a look here, as I pull up the whole numbers and stuff like that, if they were to cut Blake Jarwin in 2022, they would be able to save $4.2 million. Now, that might not sound like a whole lot. However, if it makes sense, why would you hold on to a guy that hasn't really proven to be effective in the long term? And I'm not saying that he isn't, okay? What I'm getting at is that if you mean to tell me we have to get rid of Blake Jarwin to retain Dalton Schultz, I'm cool with it. And it's really going to be awesome to see how these two really pan out this year, because with a healthy Dak, him being out there slinging the ball around, and the skill sets that they provide, I think that this Dallas offense will be a lot better and will operate more efficiently. The one thing that I've been clamoring for, and I've said it in numerous videos, is that the Cowboys need a vertical threat at the tight end position. Now, they had a couple guys that could have been that, but because of Jason Witten being in the way, you really didn't have that. Now, that doesn't mean Jason Witten never was that. It's just because when you have a guy that gets up there in age and his athletic ability starts to kind of dwindle, you kind of need to mix things up a bit. So, it's going to be a intriguing training camp, preseason, and going into the regular season. Who's going to start? Now, I think Dalton Schultz should start. I think Blake Jarwin will ultimately be the day one starter because of the fact of the money that he's getting paid and all this other stuff. And I hope I'm wrong. I mean, whoever's the best man should win. And from what we're getting at with training camp, Dalton Schultz is making it hard to really be, put back as the backup. And that's not a bad thing. Like, it could be that while Blake is looking good, Dalton's probably looking a ton better. So I do love what I'm seeing here. This competition amongst all the position groups has shown, hey, we're starting to see who's emerging out of those fields. And we're going to talk about, and you're going to see this in a later video about the defensive side of the ball, who has been standing out, and it's going to be on the defensive line. You probably know who I'm going to be talking about if you haven't guessed it already. But I'm looking at this season, and I think to myself, how is it that, is there any way that Dallas can go in and retain both of them? I mean, there is a possibility, but you got to think to yourself, would you want to pay two tight ends on your roster that are one's going to have to start over the other, both $4 to $6 million? And it's going to be tough. Now, I'm not saying the Cowboys can't pay them. It's more so, would you want to redirect resources? Like, you want to put $10 million in your tight end position? No. So I think that the Cowboys are going to have to make a decision based off of who performs better in 2021, whether, hey, Blake is doing well, let's keep him, and we'll let Dalton Schultz go, which is a probable way. Or, but the more unlikely way, because I know how the Cowboys have operated over the past couple of years, retain Dalton Schultz, cut or trade Blake Jarwin. Cut is more likely, and it's not going to kill him. So I just wanted to talk about this whole dynamic at the tight end position and what I feel like is going to happen. By all means, leave a comment down below how you think this tight end battle is going to be going. And yeah, we'll see how things go. Once again, if you could, make sure to leave a like, subscribe if you're new, and hit the notification bell as well so that you don't miss out on more content like this. And I'll check you guys out in the next one. Alright, guys? Have a great rest of your day. Bye-bye.